least. Give myself some damn time to think. Hi, I'm Shaggy. I'm Philolite, and I didn't mean to be live yet. Because I need to go to the bathroom. So, sorry? Um... Hey, Justin, I'm gonna be right back. I didn't actually mean to start. It started. I told it to schedule in 10 minutes, and it just started. So give me just a second. I gotta run to the bathroom real quick. Sorry for the inconvenience, but I'll be right back. After I knock my phone over, I'll be right back. And then we're gonna talk about Freakier Friday. Okay, sorry about that. Give me just a second here, turn that off. I turn that off? There we go. Heard that. Thank you, KJ. Thank you for being here. Yeah, thank you for holding down the fort for me there. One Punch. Hello, Harangi. This is not going to be a chill stream where I greet passersby and talk bullshit about your day. I just watched Freakier Friday, and we're going to do a review / my thoughts about it. I'm going to try not to let the chat distract me in such a way that I have to turn you off. Okay, so it was really good. It was a perfect movie in its genre. And then as far as the goals that it tried to set out and accomplish, it was a perfect movie. Surprisingly, it was written by a man. I didn't expect it to be written by a man, but it was edited and scored by women. So that in its own right explains a lot about why it was the kind of movie that it was. So the first thing is, I'm going to be spoiling it a little bit. I'm going to spoil it probably quite a bit. One of the things that surprised me about the setup was it wasn't just Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan swapping bodies. So it's a movie about three tri-generational trauma: grandmother, mother, daughter, and then it's also about families merging. So there's a step daughter as well. So there's a daughter and then a stepdaughter, where Lindsay Lohan is trying to remarry, and the guy that she's marrying also has a daughter. But it just turns out, it just so turns out, because it's a movie, that the daughters are rivals in the same classes in high school, and so they already just don't like one another. And that setup on its own right is brilliant. But the four-way swap surprised me in its own right, because Jamie Lee Curtis and the stepdaughter is British. There's a whole moving to London subplot that's happening throughout everything. And so the girl that swaps with Jamie Lee Curtis is British, and for a while they couldn't quite decide which girl they wanted to have a British accent, whether they wanted the British girl to have an accent or whether they wanted Jamie Lee Curtis to be doing this London accent. And so ultimately both women drop the London accent as the movie goes along. But when Jamie Lee Curtis is still doing the London accent, when she wakes up and she's doing this atrocious London accent, it's very, very funny. The movie is very funny throughout. It's funny. The characters make sense. They're extremely tropey and cliched, but you would want them to be. And then because it's a sequel, you already know the two main women. So the movie, if it were done back in 2012, or not 2012, back in the early aughts, I guess when the originals were, if it had been done back then, the teen girls would have been the movie. They would have leaned away from Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan because they're too old to be beautiful. And so the movie, they would have shoehorned these teenage girls in inappropriately small clothing and inappropriate sexual behavior with the older men in the cast. That would have been the movie in the early aughts. And so this movie largely sidelines the girls to have the adult women behave like teenage women experiencing adult life, and it becomes like they did like a 13 going on 30 more than a true, because they've already done Freaky Friday. These two women have already done Freaky Friday, so they did more of an homage sequel to all of the good girl movies from the early aughts. So there were references to things like oh, now I can't remember their names. Blue something, Blue Crush or whatever. I don't remember the names of all of them now. But there were tons of references to movies that I watched with girls when I was in high school and just out of high school. And then the movie takes this wild plot twist turn toward Parent Trap that I didn't see coming. So Lindsay Lohan is doing like this extended sequel to Parent Trap with a teenage girl inside her body. It was really tasteful. The editing was really good. It's very funny, very funny. And then the thing that I liked the most about it was that it really took intergenerational trauma, especially from women, because women, the relationship between a mother and daughter is very different than a mother and son and father, father and son. Very different relationship, mother and daughter have very different relationships. And so this movie, it begins cloying, cloying the relationship between grandmother and mother, mother and daughter, grandmother and daughter. That little triangle of women, it opens cloying, where these women just refuse to get along in a straight line. They have to get along diagonally from one another. And that diagonalism is a thing that Californian academics really try to push as a way to get along in life, is to just treat everything diagonally, to not ever just get along with the person that's in front of you, to always make a hypotenuse to them and connect to the person that's adjacent to them horizontally, to manipulate the people that are opposite you. And so it goes into an extended Love Island period piece, where one of the characters says that her only character development in life has been watching more than 500 hours of Love Island, or whatever it's called, the Netflix show with the teens that live on an island or whatever, and they get into romantic trouble. That was hilarious. That was hilarious character work. Way to sum yourself up as a human being. Like, the only thing I know is what I've seen on this show, and then it goes into an extended parody of that show, and it's all hilarious. I used to watch that stuff with my ex-wife, and so I know all the tropes. I used to watch all of the rom-coms that came out before I was divorced. I used to watch all of those. The girl that I was with after hated rom-coms, but I think rom-coms are really funny because they're really honest. They tend to be remarkably honest because men aren't watching them, so the women can say whatever they want. And some of the women in this movie, it's I like a movie that doesn't have any men in it. I like a movie that basically doesn't have any men in it, but there were three male characters. So there's the father, right? The father and love interest, and then there's an ex-boyfriend and love interest who's really good. He's really good on screen. And then there's the grandmother. There's Jamie Lee Curtis's husband, which I guess was the plot from the first movie, and he was spectacular. There's a scene where Jamie Lee Curtis and the British girl's body is talking to him, and she asks him if he's okay because she's a psychologist. So it's Jamie Lee Curtis's mind and spirit inside this little girl's body, and she asks him if he's okay, because that's her husband, and so she's being there to comfort him, but she's being subtle about it because she's in a girl's body and she's aware of that. So there's no tension there, right? The writing it's just top notch, and the way that the men handle the teenage girls, top notch. And then the way that the adult women in the teenage girls' bodies react to teenage boys, hilarious. I didn't watch either Freaky Friday. Now's not the good time to interrupt me. Because that was going to happen. And so the teenage girl is asking, if you're bored, just swipe. Anyway, the teenage girl with Jamie Lee Curtis's consciousness in her body asks him if he's okay, and he just says to the teenager, he goes, "I'm just worried about my wife. I hope she's okay." And she goes, "What do you mean? Aren't you okay?" And he goes, "I have to be okay. I just hope she's okay." And so his wife in this teenage girl's body saw for the first time her husband being honest with someone other than her about his feelings for her. It was the first time she had seen him honest. And what he said is, I have to be okay. I'm just worried about her. And then she says, well, I should go to her. The teenage girl with Jamie Lee Curtis's consciousness inside her body says, I should go to her because the consciousness inside Jamie Lee Curtis's body is a teenager. She says, I should go to her. And he says, please do. This is a problem that I can't solve. And then he's off screen for the rest of the movie. And it was beautiful, magical. Every man should know that that's how he needs to handle his wife. Because you can't solve her problems. You just need to be all right. You have to be all right. Because she rarely is. She's rarely ever going to be all right. And so you have to be all right when she's not all right. Because we're not doing this childish, I want my mommy to pay attention to me bullshit where we're going to catastrophize every time something goes wrong in her life. It's not a competition for attention. You have to be right. There's no other option. And I loved where they put it in the movie, and I loved the way they presented it as characters, and I loved that Lindsay Lohan was a record producer in girl rock, trying to get girl rock back popular among teen girls again, because that was Lindsay Lohan's real passion when she wasn't fucked up on drugs, was girl rock. She really wanted to be in a girl rock band. And so there's an extended Britney Spears joke. There's an extended Britney Spears de Bergerac joke. You know what de Bergerac is, right? The movie, I think it's called de Bergerac. They made a movie of it recently with the little guy. The little guy from Game of Thrones. He was also in Death and a Funeral. I just watched him in Toxic Avenger. Peter. Is it Peter? I can't remember his name now, but the little dude that played the one that played the bard. I don't know why Game of Thrones decided it wanted a Dragon Age 2 ending, by the way. But the guy who plays the dwarf, and Peter Dinklage. Why did I bring up Peter Dinklage? I don't even remember. I just keep seeing these words pop up and distract me. Because I keep trying to figure out what the fuck does that have to do with what I just said, and how is that keeping me on track?